So here's a wild question for you. What could a stock market crash possibly have in common with the way entire galaxies spin? I know, it sounds like a riddle, but the answer, well, it might just reveal a hidden rule that governs stability across the entire universe, from the biggest cosmic structures right down to our global economy.
Let's start with something we can all unfortunately recognize: a market in absolute free fall. This is what happens when a system's growth just goes wild, becomes totally unstable, and collapses. It's the perfect picture of system failure.
Now, let's jump over to the world of physics. Imagine the smooth, predictable flow of water in a river, and then, suddenly, it hits some rocks and breaks down into complete, unpredictable chaos. That's turbulence. It's another kind of collapse, a shift from a stable state to an unstable one.
And if we zoom all the way out and look up at the stars, we find one of the biggest puzzles in science. We see galaxies spinning so ridiculously fast that based on everything we know about gravity, they should have ripped themselves apart billions of years ago. To explain it, we had to invent this idea of dark matter.
So you've got a market crash, turbulent water, and galaxies that seem to defy physics. They seem totally unrelated, right? But what if they aren't? What if they're all just different symptoms of the very same underlying principle? What if there's a single universal framework that connects them all?
Well, the answer seems to be a concept that works like a universal safety switch. It's a mechanism that's built into complex systems to stop them from, well, tearing themselves apart.
It's called the Additive Multiplicative Regulator, or AM-Regulator for short. Now, at its core, it's a structural rule about how things add up. On a small local scale, things just grow additively. You add one block to a tower, then another. Simple. But as that system gets bigger and more complex, a natural multiplicative break just appears. It kicks in to keep the whole thing from spiraling out of control. It's like the laws of physics themselves stopping your tower of blocks from reaching the moon.
So this difference is absolutely crucial. On one side, you've got that simple, unchecked additive growth. Picture a runaway train just getting faster and faster until it derails. That's what leads to collapse. But on the other side, you have regulated growth. The system still grows, but there's a kind of governor on the engine, making sure it stays stable and doesn't destroy itself.
And what you get with this regulation is a system that doesn't just crash and burn. Instead of that scary exponential curve that shoots off a cliff, the AM-regulated system just gracefully levels off. And here's the kicker. This isn't some limit we're forcing on it from the outside. This leveling off, this saturation, is part of the system's very own structure.
Okay, so that's a cool theory, but how do we know if it's actually right? Well, you test it against one of the biggest mysteries out there, dark matter.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. This slide shows how the AM-regulator completely reframes these huge, long-standing problems in cosmology. The old view says we need new particles or we need to change gravity itself to explain these issues. But the regulated view? It suggests this isn't a physical problem at all. It might just be an illusion created by how we're interpreting the data. So basically, what the AM-regulator is telling us is that maybe we're not seeing some new exotic physics. Maybe what we're actually seeing are the built-in limits of our own observations. The weird anomalies we detect aren't caused by strange particles, but are just natural results of looking at a regulated system through our imperfect telescopes. It's a huge shift in thinking. Okay, so this framework has held its own against the mysteries of the cosmos. That's pretty amazing. But now, let's bring it all the way back down to Earth and see what it can do for us right here, right now.
After proving its chops in astrophysics and math, the AM-regulator is now being used as a practical software tool, and it can be used for any business in any market anywhere in the world. Its real power is that it's universal. It works on any system where stability is the name of the game.
And here's why we're calling it a revolution. Just look at the time to signal. Your classic methods, things like regression analysis or complex simulations, they can take seconds, minutes, or sometimes even hours to run. They're basically making educated guesses over and over. But the MA regulator, it's a direct calculation. It finds the answer in one clean step, no guesswork needed. The result is, well, it's instantaneous. This speed isn't just a nice-to-have, it's not just a minor improvement. It creates a whole new world of possibilities, a fundamental difference between the old way of analyzing risk and this new way.
So the bottom line is we're shifting from being reactive to being proactive. Legacy analytics are always looking backward. They tell you a crisis has already started. A little late, right? The AM-regulator works on live data as it's streaming in, and it identifies the first whispers of instability in real time. Think of it like this. It's the difference between a smoke detector that goes off when your house is already on fire and a prevention system that spots the faulty wiring before there's even a spark. For a business, this means seeing a market trend the very second it starts, not reading about it in a report 3 days later.
And when you apply this to actual, real-world economic data, the results are just staggering. Take a look at crisis share. That's the amount of time the system is in the red zone. The raw data shows the system's in crisis mode 12% of the time. But after you apply the regulator, that plummets to just 2%. That is a massive reduction in risk.
We're talking about a systemic risk reduction of an estimated 40 to 60%. This isn't just a minor tweak. It's a fundamental upgrade to how we can manage stability in pretty much any complex system you can think of, from a company's cash flow and supply chain to real-time customer behavior to the entire global financial market.
And you know what's really incredible? How simple and accessible this all is. This is not some complicated, impenetrable black box technology. This is it. This is the core logic right here. It's just a few simple steps that anyone can code up in any programming language and use anywhere, from a massive cloud platform to a simple dashboard on their laptop.
So what does this all add up to? What does the future look like now that we have this powerful, universal tool?
So let's wrap it up. Here's what you need to remember. We now have a single, unified framework that can explain instability across totally different fields. It creates stability not by trying to rewrite the rules of physics or economics, but by revealing a safety switch that was already built in. And best of all, it's now a real, practical software tool that gives any business or organization instant, real-time insights into the health of its systems with zero lag.
And that leaves us with one last thought to chew on. We now have a tool that acts like a universal safety switch that can tame instability wherever we find it. So the question isn't if we can build more stable systems anymore. The real question is, where should we start? What's the next big problem we should solve?